Hello everyone, and today we have some good news. We have a new patch on 4 classes: Sakrir, Kra, Pandawa and Enutrof. Some got quite nice buffs, others like a slight nerfs, and others just a small modifications. But overall, dang, Sakrir looks good now. Besides that, we also have new maps animated, we also have a ton of interfaces that got changed in terms of like small bugs that they had or even small features and a bunch of other things. So let's dive into that. So let's start things off with the visuals and animations that we have here. Unfortunately, we don't have an English version yet. I assume that they are working on that or they will send it tomorrow. So I have the Google Chrome translation here, but I'll try to translate everything for you guys. So let's start things off in here. So now we can actually store our colors. So whenever you use a potion to change your color, you'll have the previous colors already saved. So you can always change back to the previous colors that you already had. So you can basically accumulate a bunch of color sets for your character depending on your outfit. So that's pretty cool, allows the characters to have more diversity. You can have more outfits with different types of colors, your character colors. So that's pretty good, that's a good addition. Also, the briefing of the characters now got reduced. That was a critique that many people were saying, that they didn't like these new briefing animations or they were too much. But now it's reduced. Besides that, we also have less jumping on the running animation, so there's basically less motion. But also the running animation, as you can see, it's a bit faster. It jumps a little bit less. Nothing really crazy. I think it's a bit better, I would say that. Also, many class characters got their visuals revised, except a few of them. Annie, Enutrof, Osamoda, Steamer, Forgelance and Oginak. They will still come a bit later. So apparently now the characters are a bit better. I don't know about the Pandawa here. It seems pretty much the same. I don't have really a comparison between the previous version. But let me know in the comments if you notice anything. Besides that, they also got 100 visuals of equipments and cosmetic that have been revised. So that's such a big improvement, hopefully. And we can here see that Dankama is really working and doing their best and probably doing over hours to manage to have everything ready for the Unity release. So now here we have, as you can see, a bunch of different fixes that they did in the interfaces or even new modifications or enhances to it. So that's pretty good. So as you guys can see, that's so many of them. I will leave the link of this changelog in the description, so feel free to come here and check the interface. I will not go through all of them, otherwise it would be such a big video, and I want to focus this video more on the classes changes. Then we also have some modifications on the Gladiatrol, more like some fixes, and also some modification in terms of the gameplay itself. Then we also have some new map animations. I will do a video showing you guys these new map animations. There are some really cool ones. For example, the Servitude really looks good. And then we have also some miscellaneous here. Nothing really fancy, but one thing that I want to mention is the shift click that I mentioned in the previous video, that you can shift left click to basically share any information of an achievement or even a spell. Now we go for the things that you guys were looking for. So classes changes, okay? So here on the IOP we just have a small fix. In the Zobal we have the Purgatorio with now a minimum range of 0. That's actually quite interesting. The Forgelance also got a fix on the Vajra spell. And now we have a big change in the Pandawa. So as you can see here in the Pandawa is mostly spells lower level. When you get them, they are basically better now, they are enhanced. So here you can see that a lot of the spells, there seems to have like a big modification, but a lot of it is just to improve the early game of the Pandawa, pretty much. But there are other things that actually impact the end or the early game of the Pandawa, which is the stabilization spell. Now it's not a line of sight. So now you need actually to see the target. You cannot have a barrier like something on front of you, but you now can cast it without being in line, which is actually so good. I think it's a buff, in my opinion. I think it's more important actually to be able to cast it free without having to have actually in line. So I like that. And as you can see, the relaunch interval, it's the same for all of the levels. So basically it's increasing the early game of the Pandawa. Besides that, also the MP dodge bonus is no longer applied to enemies. So overall, I really think this is a buff. It's really good. Then we have the stain here, and the stain now you also don't need to be online to cast the spell in line, so that's pretty good. I like it. And you can also cast it 2 times per turn, even in the lower levels, and you also get a bigger range. So I like this new change. I think it was very necessary. And now we have the Spirit Link. The Spirit Link is the summon, and this thing now can carry and can throw barrels. So as you can see here, the Pandawasta here has this new spell here, Alcoholic Bow. So if you summon like a barrel, you can basically carry it, and even the animation is a bit weird, probably it's like just something temporary, but now he even does damage with it. So that's pretty cool. I think this will help a lot. I think this is really a nice addition, and you can even cast it more than 1 time per turn. So I really like it. Honestly, it's a really cool addition that they did it. As you can see, you cannot really use on allies. It's really just the barrels, but it's still, I think it's a cool addition. So now the Pandineuras can also increase the movement points of enemies. Can be interesting for some game, for some dungeons. Now the Destillation, it's super different. Now basically you cast a poison like before, right? But now I didn't really understand how this works, because it says like spell and poison damage is increased for each spell poison triggered on a target. So I don't know, for each poison that you get on the Destillation, the enemy gets more damage overall, like by spells or even poison damage, or if any poison triggered on a target makes this spell do more damage. I think it's the first one that I just said. I also tested in the game, but there was not really any information in the pouch or in me that said something like that. But honestly, I like this change. I think the water way needs a bit of an improvement, because everyone always chooses the air elemental way when they need to basically play more at distance. So it's nice to see, and you can also cast it now with the 0 range, you can cast it on yourself. Now the Cascade, the one that you throw, basically it's not percentage of HP, it's a water healing, so the more water damage you have, the more heal you do, which is nice. It's basically a nerf for the tank panda, but is a buff for the pandas that are water. And the Pandawa hand got a big buff. It went from 50 to 7 damage best element. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Okay, let's see how it will work, because for now it would already be super powerful. So I'm interested now to see how this would work. I think this will be quite interesting. So now let's talk about the Enutroph. Enutroph, like I said, for the Pandawa also add the same modifications to help the early game. So as you can see, the arm lock and the toolbox, now you can change the range depending on how much range do you have. This is actually something that was necessary already a long time ago, because Enutrophs really depend on their range, so it makes sense that most of their spells are based on that. Now we have a huge change on the Prime of Life. I don't believe that they did this, honestly. Basically now it increased the range, and beside that you can modify the range. What? This actually changes so much, because the Earth build, this spell here, it's always a bit weird because you need to be close range, and in the early game it's very weird to use it. This is actually super good. First, you have already a bigger range, and now even, for example, if you use a PoE set, you already get like 5 range on this spell. This is honestly a big difference, mainly for early game and even for end game. Even in PvP this will change a lot. It's a spell that does quite some damage. It honestly does a lot of damage for 3 AP spell, and it did this damage, in my opinion, because it was very restricted the range, right? And now you can actually get way more range with it. So we'll see how it will be actually later on, when we'll see actually in game. Besides that, we also have some modifications here on the summons. Got a bit of more range. The shovel that does agility damage now does earth damage. I don't know why they did this. Maybe because there are not many summons that do earth damage. And they also increase the shovel spell for 4 range to 5 range. And it's pretty much it for the Enutroph. And then we have the Sacrier. The Sacrier got some nice but very nice buffs. We have the Infusion, also got better in early levels, and has a small modification that the healing is also applied upon the caster death. So that's actually quite interesting. Even if the Sacrier dies, the healing will still be applied. Then we have the Crown of Thorns that got a bit of a nerf in the early levels, but honestly it's better that the recast now it's just 3 turns. This is such an important spell in the Sacrier toolkit, and being able to be just 3 turns in the beginning in the early game, it's really such a big difference. And now we have the Penitence. And the Penitence, now you can swap position with enemies, and whenever the Sacrier takes damage, he switches positions with the enemy. So this is super interesting. I can't wait to see now the new gameplay that will be the Sacrier. And besides that, you can also cast on yourself. So basically what it does is that whenever someone attacks you, it switches position with you. For example, if you are very far away from someone and you are like in a team 3 versus 3, you can put that on yourself and go a bit forward. And for example, if a Kra attacks you, it will switch place with you. So that's pretty interesting. I think we'll see really nice plays with these Penitence now. Besides that, Libation now removes 1 turn of enchantment. What? Now Sacrier has Unbewitching somehow. This seems pretty broken, pretty good, honestly. So we'll see how it will be. Honestly, like Sacrier got such a huge buff. I don't know if Sacrier needed, but here we have it. Also, we have some changes on the sword. Now no longer heals the allies if the sword is not in suffering 6. I don't know if it's the sword or the caster. I don't know exactly. And the other one that does in area of effect also heals the allies in the area based on the damage that it does to the enemies. So that's very nice. I always use the first one because it would heal. So I would always avoid this one because it was never really very interesting. It costs more and then it was like 2 in 2 turns. So it's also nice that now you can cast it every single turn. So now the Absorption now having 6 range will honestly be so good. We basically increased the possibilities to build Fire Sacrier way early on, because normally we just do a chance if you want to basically play more range. And it's so good that Absorption now always have 6 range even from level 1. Besides that, Hostility, which is a spell that you push for just 2 action points, now it is 6 range. That's honestly super crazy. I like it. It will be super good. My brother, for example, is a main Sacrier. He always plays PvP, and he loved this new change because he loves to use Hostility because it's just a 2 action point spell and it does so much damage. Then we have the Hecatomb, that now we have 1 more range as well. And besides that, the heals, whenever you use this spell, you cut the heals, at least before, then it got an update and it got removed. But now it just came back, and this was so important in the Fire Sacrier way. Honestly, my brother was always complaining now that he didn't have this way to remove the heal. He always had to use Hemorrhage. So now we have this, and besides that, it's 70%. It's not 50%, it's 70%. And in the Hemorrhage, we also have as well 70%. Got a buff. Besides that, now the Desolation also got a bit more range, which is actually very interesting because it gives more versatility to the airway. The Condensation will always be 5 range as well from level 1. And the Clobbering, now it's 6 range. I don't know if it needed because it's already 5 range is already such a good range for it. But now it's 6. It's honestly super good. And now the Ravages are 6 range in all levels. This is honestly such a big difference for the early game of the Sacrier. And you always pull yourself all the cells. So I'm very interested to see the new Sacrier now leveling up. In my opinion, I created one and it was already super easy to do the dungeons. I got to level 100 really easy. I did pretty much all the dungeons by myself and it did the achievements and it didn't have much of a problem. So now, even with these buffs in early levels, I can really imagine that Sacrier will be super good. I already put in my tier list at S tier, but now, geez. The good thing is that there's nothing higher than S tier because it will be super good for the Sacrier. So now, to finish, we have the Kra. And the Kra also got this modification of being a bit better in the early game. So a lot of the spells got their turns interval or got their range to their like already end game levels. So this will help a lot the Kras in the early level, more than I already need, but okay. And besides that, some spells actually got a buff even in the end game. For example, this arrow here got a range from 6 to 8. The repulsive one got 5 to 6. And besides that, we also have a lot of new spells that are now getting lifesteal. So A few months ago, Kra got a small rework where he got a lot of spells that got lifesteal. Now he even has more. So I guess they are trying that the Kra has a bit more sustainability in the fights so that he can handle a bit more the fights, mainly the endgame fights where you need to survive, where you need to get your health points back, for example. So I think this is a good addition. I think Kras need this. I think this buff here is mainly for the end game. I think Kras really need a bit of help in this part here, which is the sustainability. Let's see if this will be enough for the Kras to be able to solo, for example, quests, content, tactical fights where you're basically alone and you really need depend on your set. And Kra really suffers with that. For example, some Kras, if they don't have a really good set, they can't really pass some fights, and even with a good set they suffer a lot. But for the early game I don't think they really need much of a help, but mainly for the end game. So guys, I don't know what is happening with my camera, it keeps shutting off. I don't know what is happening with this Elgato virtual camera. If anyone knows, please leave in the comments. Anyway guys, I'm really excited for these new updates and I can't wait for next week updates. We'll see Heliotrop, Upper Mage, SRAM and Feka. So let's see what they will do with these new classes. I like these new changes on this class that I just covered today. And so guys, if you like my content, please subscribe, leave a like and see you next time.